Do you ever hear a little voice chattering away in your head that fills you with self-doubt? Does it serve you well and push you to try a little harder, or would you be better served with a kinder voice that gently encourages you forward? Let's see what the science suggests. Hi there, Michelle here from McQuaid TV. We're helping you find ways to move from functioning to flourishing by putting the latest science to the real-world test. Now, from time to time, when we get still enough, most of us hear a little voice chattering away inside of our heads that fills us with self-doubt. Perhaps you've heard it saying, "You're not good enough. You're so lazy. You're such an idiot." You know the little voice I'm talking about. It's that voice that says things to you that you would never dare say to anybody else and that you'd be mortified for anyone to hear. I think of her as my mean girl voice. Of course, while the tone and words may not be that nice, the intention behind this voice of self-doubt is usually one of self-protection. In an effort to help us avoid making mistakes, taking unnecessary risks, keeping us humble and open-minded, and even trying to motivate us to work harder, this voice lets loose. Feelings of self-doubt are not in themselves a problem, but like any emotion, the key is knowing when to embrace it and when to move past it in order to shape our success and well-being. Self-doubt becomes unhealthy when it makes us defensively pessimistic, so that we can avoid new challenges, or causes us to procrastinate and put things off. When it leads us to self-sabotage so we can blame our failures on other factors, or drives us to overachieve to prove that we're worthy, or makes it impossible for us to accept praise from others. Now, if you're listening to this list and having an oh shit moment, then let me assure you you're in good company. The good news is that awareness is the first step to changing any pattern. So what can you do when this voice of self-doubt is unnecessarily holding you back? Well, drum roll please. Dr. Kristen Neff at the University of Texas and her colleagues suggest that tapping into our self-compassion can help to break this cycle of self-criticism while still allowing us to be honest about our fears. After all, aren't you worth the same kindness, concern and support that you'd show any other friend? Neff and her colleagues suggest that there are 3 elements that enable self-compassion. The willingness to be kind and understanding of ourselves rather than judging and critical. The recognition that no one's perfect, that we all make mistakes, get things wrong and sometimes fail, and it just means that we're human. And the mindfulness to be aware of each moment in a clear and balanced way, rather than over-identifying with what's not working. Now, Neff explains that these 3 simple elements, self-kindness, connectedness and mindfulness, help us to recognise that these mean voices aren't really trying to harm us. In their misguided attempts to ensure our happiness, they are overly critical and unnecessarily harsh in an effort to protect us. So instead of taming, shaming or blaming these mean voices for undermining our confidence, self-compassion's been found to help reduce our levels of stress, anxiety and self-doubt so that we see them for what they are, just stories about the things we fear and not the truth about who we are or what we're capable of doing. Self-compassion, or as I like to call it, my kind girl voice, reminds me of all the times I've gotten it right, of the strengths I have to draw upon, of my ability to step outside my comfort zone. And if it doesn't all go to plan, my kind voice reminds me that I'm learning just like everybody else and gives me the courage to figure out the lesson. Now, studies have found that these kind voices generate more positive feelings that balance out our fears, allowing us to feel more joyous, calm and confident. They help us to believe that we're capable and worthy, making us less self-conscious, less likely to compare ourselves to others, and less likely to feel insecure. And far from being self-indulgent or soft, the deliberate use of self-compassionate talk's been found to be an effective means of enhancing our motivation and performance. So how can you practice more self-compassion? Well, Neff suggests that self-compassion is a teachable skill that is dose-dependent. The more you practice it, the more you learn. So here are some things you might find helpful. Try to identify what you really want by thinking about ways that you use self-criticism as a motivator. Things like, I'm too overweight, I'm too lazy, I'm too impulsive, because you think that being hard on yourself will help you change. Now, what language would a wise and nurturing friend use to gently point out how your behaviour is unproductive whilst encouraging you to do something different? What's the most supportive message you can think of that's in line with your underlying wish to be healthy and happy when it comes to creating these changes? Then write this message down and put it somewhere you can see it each day. Or you could try keeping a self-compassion journal for a week or longer if you like, and write down anything you felt bad about, anything you judged yourself for, or any difficult experience that caused you pain. And for each event, practice using your kindness, sense of connectedness to humanity, and your mindfulness to process this event in a more self-compassionate way. Finally, my favourite is my self-compassion mantra. I found that my mean girl voice was quick to remind me that I wasn't good enough, so I started gently countering this with my kind girl voice, who wanted to remind me that actually, in most situations, I'm better than I think I am. Now, this kind reminder was enough to slow down that negative spiral of fear and self-doubt, so I could mindfully attend to what was actually unfolding and make more informed choices about what I wanted to be doing. You'll find many more resources on self-compassion, including extra exercises and meditations you can try at Neff's website at selfcompassion.org. There's also some great emerging research around the 8-week mindful self-compassion courses that you can find in many countries now that incorporate formal meditation practices, interpersonal exercise and home practices, and are showing some incredible results. Want to help someone else with a little self-compassion right now? Then share this video with your family and friends, especially those who might be struggling with self-doubt or the mean voices in their heads. And if you'd like more practical and playful ideas from the latest science of human flourishing, then be sure to subscribe or stop by michellemcquaid.com, leave your name and email address so you can hear all our news first. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching Shell McQuaid TV. Remember, you are good enough. So don't be afraid to let your strength shine. Until next time, take care.
Michelle, you need to work out more. You're not looking too good these days.
Michelle, you look fabulous. All that exercise is paying off.
Michelle, are you working hard enough? Are you getting all your work done?
Michelle, stop sending us emails all the weekend.
That's not my kind voice, that's yours.